Kale kansubire muli bulungi ebya Professor Lawrence Muganga ebyo byandibanga nno tebinnaggwa byongera kulanda. Ebya President Kaguta Museveni okubeera nga yamuwadde ekifo byandibanga byamuzaalidde ebitukula. Omukisa ate gwafuuse kikolimo gyali mwana ttu yeetemye engalike gyayinza okubeera nga tajja kwerabira mu kariya ye obulamu bwonna. Kagamba embeera nzibu nkuleetedde ate ebirala by'oteekeddwa okumanya ebikwata ku Dr. Lawrence Muganga ono. Ensonga ze zikyalanda zifuuse nnamulanda. Kale tugenda kubeera nga tugendamu ate on a roller coaster kweno tugenda kubeera nga tukannyonnyoka ate kano ak'olwaleero otegere kiki ekyaviiriddeko Dr. Lawrence Muganga obuzibu. Biki byabadde akweka, lwaki yadde tayagala kugamba bakulu nti ddala kituufu yalinako passport ye Rwanda era intelligence president eyamuweebwa ne kiki ekyabadde emabega okumuwa ekifo kino omukulu yabadde agenderera ki. Tujja n'okutwalako e Rwanda abadde balowooza nti tensions zandibanga practically zaggwawo oluvannyuma lwa Muhoozi Ken Rugaba okusinkana His Excellency Paul Kagame ow'e Rwanda. Yes, ne bino nno muyinza obitwala ng'ebyokusaaga naye jjukira bano bonna balwanyi. They are veteran bush war veterans actually. Yoweri Kaguta Museveni ne His Excellency Paul Kagame. So ensonga ya Professor Lawrence Muganga, Dr. Lawrence Muganga teyeetaga kutwalibwanga ya lusaago naye simanyi naye oba akalira akawulira kuba ayinza okuba bwe yabadde mu vetting ate yinza okubeera nga n'ebyayogedde n'ebyaddiridde. Yinza okubeera ate yategedde omukulu nti yabadde amuteze mutego ate gwe yaguddemu nga tategedde ne gye buli yena ayinza okubeera nga ebimu nga tannaba kutegeera kiki kyabaddewo. Ne kale njagala tugende ebuziba mbaaniriza nnyo ku kaaleero yenze muzzukulu wa Gabunga Moses Wamala. Omugoberezi wange omujja ng'oli mupya wano gwe gusoose okubeera ng'olaba vidiyo wano ku Uganda ey'enkya nkusaba genda butereevu nnyo subscribinge. Bw'omaliriza okunyiga button ya subscribe waliwo awo akadde koolaba kanyiga oteekeko all oba onyige all notifications ojja kubeera ng'obagulizibwako otegeezebweko bwe tunaabeera nga tutaddeyo program buli lunaku. Ate era ojja kubeera ng'omanyisibwa naddi bwe tugenda live oba bwe tuba tugenze live ojja kubeera nga ofuna butereevu nnyo notification. Ate ne notifications z'essimu ziteekeko obeere ng'osobola okubeera ng'ofuna notifications eza YouTube okusingira ddala omukutu ogwa Uganda ey'enkya nti bwe tubeera nga tutaddeyo ekintu mwana tuobeerawo ng'osobola okubeera ng'okifuna ng'obagulizibwako. Kale nnaku z'omwezi ziri 5 mwezi gwa mukaaga oba June omwaka 2026 otegeera butegeezi nti omwaka tugutuuse wakati. Tuli mu kwota ey'okubiri era tunaatera okuyingira omwaka gw'ebyensimbi ogwa 2026-2027. State of the Nation Address yawedde kati sabbiiti ejja embalirira y'eggwanga egenda kusomebwa era omukulembeze w'eggwanga. Naye kale olwaleero njagala nkutwale mbadde nno ngenze era mbadde nina okwewuliriza ennyo okugenda maaso okukola show ku Dr. Lawrence Muganga because yes mukwano gwange bwe yava mu ggwanga lya Canada okujja wano eno nze omu ku abo sinakindi nze yasookera ddala omukolako interview nga ze era twakola series of interviews ezaali zikwata ku byenjigiriza naye nabadde nina okwewuliriza ennyo but engeri gyeri profession nina okubaweereza n'okubawa amawulire kasita mbeera nga sitaddeemu kyekubiira ate nakulaga side era ngenda bibawa nga bwe biri era research desk yaffe gye neesigamyeko olwaleero okubeera nga mbaweereza presenting this to you. Kale katwolekere nate ekyatuleese olwaleero.
Not a Rwandese. Now, waliwo enjawulo yawula a Rwandese and I'm not a Rwandese. No, I'm not a Rwandese. I'm not a Rwandese. Now, waliwo I'm not a Rwandese. Now, waliwo enjawulo yawula a Rwandese and a Munyarwanda. Munyarwanda here. Tutegerekanye.
Was it a concern during vetting? Was it a concern during vetting?
I mean, there is a reason why they keep everything in there in closed door kind of meeting, I don't think I want to reveal what is happening in a closed-door meeting. So, but I know, what I can tell you is that they ask as many questions as possible, and every topic is open to be discussed. Yes.
So, are you sure that this question of your citizenship might not affect your appointment?
I don't know. I leave that to the members to decide, because they have to choose what they think is right. They have to do their job. For me, I've made my case, and I think it has been sufficient enough.
Can we make this more simpler? Do you have two passports of different countries?
I mean, before I came in here, I definitely had two citizenships. That's the Ugandan citizenship and the Canadian citizenship. Like every young person who really aspires to do better, you leave this country and you go to different countries, trying to work there, and you get some money, you help your people you left back home, you help your brothers, your sisters, your parents, and even the friends. So that is me, but so many Ugandans do that. And as I speak right now, there are some who are at the airport leaving the country. Before you know, they will have citizenships of other countries, and but that does not take away one's love for the country. I am Ugandan, and I think even when I live the life we live, God has given me life, but I don't think I'll live permanently. But when I die, I'll also be buried here in Uganda, closer to my parents, who are resting in Seta, Mukono, in Igwaf village. So that is my ancestral home. But Uganda is my country. I love my country.
Do you have any plans of denouncing the other citizenship?
I mean, who says that can't happen? It's possible. There is no better country than Uganda, right? Yes. Before I became a Canadian, I was Ugandan. And I'm proud to be Ugandan. And I love my country. So even if I remained with one citizenship and it is Uganda, I'll be very, very proud. No, I'm not. There are so many people that have had their children that go to multiple countries around the globe.
Kale, yenze muzukulu wa Gabunga Moses Wamala. Kana akaleero, kale. Kakati ebigambo ebyo Dr. Lawrence Muganga yabyogera kyajja afulume Appointments Committee oba akakiiko akasunsula abo ababeera baweereddwa ebifo omukulembeze w'eggwanga. Akakiiko ako katuulako ababaka abava ku luuyi olw'enjawulo abavuganya gavumenti ssaako ne bannakibiina ki National Resistance Movement. Akakiiko ako era kakubirizibwa basipiika be bakakulira ssaako ne bammemba b'ekibiina ky'NRM n'abalala buli kibiina kibaako n'abantu opposition n'abali ku ludda olukulembera gavumenti. Byebyo ebigambo bya Professor Dr. Lawrence Muganga. Now, I want to take you into this interview. Endala gye yakola Patrick Kamara ku NTV on the spot. Esoose agambye nti he's not a Rwandese, ye munyarwanda. Eggwanga Uganda mu ssemateeka. Where is my constitution? I want to check. Naye mawanga indigenous, yes. Okusinza ku ssemateeka bw'obikkula emabega eyo abanyarwanda bali erimu kwaga amawanga ge batugamba nti gaaliwo ssemateeka we yagenda okubagibwa emabegako eri etali ya 1995 naye eya 1995 yagenda okubagibwa nga abanyarwanda neziri enda zibadde ziba recognizinga. Kaakati Mukatambi mumuwulidde bulungi nnyo, yeegaana okubeera omunyarwanda nti tabanko munyarwanda era tabanko na passport ye Rwanda, ye Dr. Lawrence Muganga. Wabula waliwo ate contradiction okwekuba ye kennyini yeekuba. Eno ye ya Patrick Kamara, njagala muwulirize.
I'm not a Rwandese.
I think think I need to get something out of here. I think it's now very fine. I think it's fine now. Yeah, I think it's fine now. It's fine. Is it fine? It's fine now.
Multiple countries around the globe, and they obtained citizenship. Like every Ugandan that is watching me, there are so many people that have had their children that go to multiple countries around the globe.
Owulira akugamba nti bannayuganda bangi nnyo bana abantu bangi nnyo ababadde n'abantu baabwe abasobodde okugenda emitala bw'amayanja
and they obtained citizenship
era ne bagenda maaso okubeera nga bafuna obutuuze obw'amawanga amalala
of different countries.
Obw'ensi oba obw'amawanga ag'enjawulo.
Right? I graduated in 2002, April 5th.
Nagenda maaso n'entikkirwa agambye mu 2000 what?
2002, April 5th. Try to look for a job in this country of different countries. Right? I graduated in 2002, April 5th.
Nti nagenda maaso n'entikkirwa mwaka gwa 2002 Apuli nga 5.
Try to look for a job in this country.
Nengezaako okubeera nga noonya omulimu munda mu ggwanga lino.
In my country, I couldn't get a job.
Mu nsi yange saasobola kubeera nga nfuna omulimu.
I have a sister.
Naye nina sisita wange
in Rwanda.
Ali e Rwanda.
She called me that you
Nankubira n'angamba
can get a job in this country. Please
osobola okubeera ng'ofuna omulimu mu nsi eno.
come.
Jangu.
So I crossed over, I went to Rwanda. I had
Era n'ensala ne ŋŋenda mu ggwanga ly'e Rwanda.
my passport
Nalina passport
from Uganda.
ey'e Uganda.
I went to Rwanda
Ne ŋŋenda e Rwanda.
and fortunately I got a job
Era kya mukisa mulungi ne nfuna omulimu
as an internal auditor.
nga omuntu abalirira ng'omubalirizi w'ebitabo.
So worked there in
Mu okubalirira ebitabo internal auditor mu Revenue Authority y'e Rwanda. Wagiwandiise URA yeeyo, kale katugitwale URA yeeyo bwe tuba tukiyita nti n'atuukayo n'abeera omubalirizi w'ebitabo internal auditor munda mu kitongole ekiwoozi ky'omusolo mu ggwanga ly'e Rwanda.
Rwanda Revenue Authority. Worked there
N'enkola
from 2003 or 4
n'emyaka tagijjukira bulungi, ndoza 2003 oba 2004
to 2005.
okutuusa 2005.
And then I also got another opportunity
Era ne ngenda maaso n'enfuna omukisa omulala
to come to go and do a master's degree.
ogenda maaso okubeera nga nkola degree yange ey'okubiri gye wandiise masters. Annyonnyola.
But before that, keep in mind
Naye ekyo nga tekinnabaawo, kiteeke mu bwongo bwo
that everyone,
nti buli omu omukulu yali ku NTV on the spot ne Patrick Kamara.
or anyone, to get a job and keep a job in Rwanda, you need to get their national ID. You need to
Okufuna omulimu mu ggwanga ly'e Rwanda olina okubeera n'endagamuntu yaabwe, indagamuntu.
get their passport.
Olina okufuna paasipooti yaabwe okufuna omulimu mu ggwanga ly'e Rwanda. Olina okubeera n'ebintu ebyo. Olina okuba n'endagamuntu, olina okubeera ne paasipooti yaabwe.
And that's what I did.
Era ekyo kye nakola
Through the recommendation of my sister,
okuyita mu recommendations za muganda wange, sister wange, okuyambibwako kwa sister wange
and the person called Nyumba Kumi, which is like
n'omuntu oba muyita mayumba 10 oba nyumba 10 oba simanyi, naye ndowooza alinga oba erosiweeyo.
LC1 of that country. And then I went and got a national ID
Era nagenda maaso n'enfuna endagamuntu y'eggwanga ly'e Rwanda.
and I got a Rwandan passport.
So
era nenfuna ne passport ye Rwanda.
here you are
Munnamawulire ambuuza kakati oli wano eno
Ugandan with a
oli Munnayuganda
Ugandan passport,
olina passport ye Uganda
with a
And
Rwandan
a
passport,
era olina ne passport ye Rwanda
living in Kigali.
era ng'obeera mu Kigali.
Correct.
That alone is
N'amuddamu Dr. Lawrence Muganga ga kituufu
problematic, isn't it?
nti Patrick Kamara munnamawulire n'abuuza ekyo kyokka tolaba nti kizibu nnyo kireeta obuzibu kizaala leenya kirina leenya kirina obuzibu
It looks
n'aga nti
so, but what you do
era bw'oba okiraba kiringa era ekiri problematic kiringa ekirazaala leenya okiraba bulungi nnyo it looks so
when you like
n'ate kati oyinza kukola otya ng'olemereddwa ofuna omulimu
you're looking, you went to school to get
wagenda ku ssomero okufuna mulimu
a job, to do something to help yourself.
ogenze ku ssomero okufuna mulimu okufuna ekintu ekinaakuyamba nawe kennyini okweyamba
To help your parents,
okuyamba bazadde bo
to help your family.
okuyamba famire yo
That's the only option I had to really.
kyekintu kyokka kye nalina okubeera nga nkola y'ensonga yokka gye nalina kyekintu kyokka kye nalina okukola
Fall for. So
n'olw'ensonga eyo
I work,
nkola
and after that I get a scholarship
era oluvannyuma ne nfuna scholarship
to come to Makerere through
okujja mu Makerere oba okukomawo e Makerere okuyita mu interview musobola okugyeyongeza ne mugimaliriza ne mugimalayo ne mutegeera eri ku NTV Uganda, NTV on the spot. Osobola okuteekamu NTV on the spot, Dr. Lawrence Muganga, era credits to NTV Uganda for that wonderful interview. Ngireesenga reference. Kaakati bino bya UBC, Nation Broadcaster.
No, I'm not a Rwandese. Now, waliwo enjawulo. Yawula a Rwandese and a Munyarwanda. Rwanda here. I'm not a Rwandese.
Wano Sabiti oba wiiki eno yennyini yagambye nti siri Munyarwanda.
Now, waliwo enjawulo. Yawula a Rwandese
Nti bibiri yawula waliwo a Rwandese
and a Munyarwanda.
n'Omunyarwanda naye ate mu Luganda byonna bitegeeza ekintu kyekimu. Kitegeera oba
Munyarwanda here.
kati sinza niyinza okunoonya ekintu ekituufu oba Omunyarwanda kati mu Luganda nkigire nti kale waliwo abava e Rwanda waliwo abazaaliddwa kale e Rwanda n'abazaaliddwa e Uganda naye nga bannayuganda katugeze nti taata asobola okubeera nga Munnayuganda. Nze Moses Wamala nenfuna omukyala nga Munyarwanda era omwana gwe nzaala abeera Munnayuganda olw'ensonga taata we ndi Munnayuganda. Ekyo kaakati ssemateeka yaffe citizen by birth. You're Ugandan citizen by birth because your dad or your father, your biological father, is a Ugandan. That's what the Constitution says.
Tutegereganya.
Was it a concern during vetting? Was it a concern during vetting?
Kati wano banamule nga bamubuuza nti was it a concern kibadde kimu ku ebyo ebigenze mu maaso mu kubeera ng'osunsulwa kibadde ku mwanjo nnyo. Agamba ntegeeza kugamba
There is a reason why they keep everything.
waliwo ensonga lwaki buli kimu bagenda maaso okubeera nga bakiteeka nga kyakukukulira eyo gye tubeera tukolera okusunsulwa.
In closed
Era kyova lwaki baggalawo n'enzigi ne bibeera nga kugamba byakyama.
door kind of meeting. I don't think I want to reveal what
Sisuubira nti nandyagadde ogenda maaso okubeera nga njasanguza ebibaddeyo.
is happening in a closed door meeting. So, but I know what I can tell you is that they ask as many questions as possible.
Ky'oba omanya era kyeninza okugaa nti babuuza ebibuuzo biyitirivu nnyo okubeera nga bagenda maaso okubeera nga bakwekkenenya era bakusunsula.
And every topic is open
Era buli mulamwa muggule guba muggufu
to be discussed.
okubeera nga gukubaganyizibwako ebirowoozo.
Yes.
Are you sure that this question of your citizenship might not affect your appointment?
Munnamawulire amubuuza olowooza kino ekibuuzo oba debate eno oba okubaganya ebirowoozo oba okubagana empawa ku nsonga y'okubeera n'obutuuze obw'amawanga ag'enjawulo tekiikuviireko leenya okuzaalira obuzibu okubeera nga ekifo kino eky'obwa minisita omubeezi akola ku nsonga z'amawanga oba akola ku nsonga z'eggwanga Uganda munda mu ggwanga Uganda tekiikuviireko obuzibu. Dr. Lawrence Muganga yanukula.
I don't know. I
Simanyi
leave that
ekyo nkirekedde ab'akakiiko
to the members to decide
okubeera nga basalawo
because they have to choose
olw'ensonga nti balina okubeera nga basalawo
what they think is right.
Ekituufu kye bamanyi oba kye basuubira oba kye balowooza nti kyekituufu.
They have to do their job.
Balina okubeera nga bakola omulimu gwabwe era balina okubeera nga bakola ekyo kye bateekeddwa okukola.
For me, I've made my case.
Nze ngenze maaso n'enjogera ebyange n'enkola ogwange.
And I think it has been sufficient.
Era nzikiriza nti kibadde kimala.
Enough.
Can we make this more simpler? Do you have two passports?
Bannamawulire bamulemerako baga nti kino kitwanguyirize kikakkanye oba kigonzeemu. Oyina passport ezisoba mu 2.
I mean, before I came in here,
ngamba nga sinajja wano.
I definitely had 2 citizenships.
Sinajja wano mbadde n'obutuuze bwa mirundi 2.
That's the Ugandan
obutuuze bw'e Uganda
citizenship and the Canadian citizenship.
Saako n'obutuuze bw'e Canada.
Like every young person
nga buli muntu yenna agenda maaso okunnyonnyola
who really aspires to do better.
Ayagala okubeera obulungi.
You leave this country and
ova mu ggwanga lino eno.
You go to different countries.
N'ogenda mawanga ag'enjawulo.
Trying to work there.
Ng'oyagala okukolerayo n'ogezaako n'ogenda eyo n'okolerayo okwo.
And you get some money.
Era n'ofuna ensimbi zo.
Help your people you left.
N'ogenda maaso okuyamba abantu okugamba statement zaagala okukwatagana ne zeyayogera ku NTV nga kyajja ateewe oluvannyuma lw'okukwatibwa mujjukire baamukwata ku byekuuso oba ku bigambibwa okubeera nti yali abega eggwanga lya Uganda. Baamujja ku Victoria University nga balinga abakutte engeri gye baamukwata mazima yali eyoleka ng'omuntu omutujju omuntu omubbi baamukwata mu ngeri eyali enkambwe ennyo ffenna tujjukira. It was a sad moment. Era engeri gye yakwatibwamu yennyamiza abantu ne baga what is going on.
Back home,
kati statement zino zayogera bw'oba owuliriza akatambi ka Patrick Kamala ne kano zaagala okufaanagana naye awo meeting oba ajjamu aeditinga ekwatagana ku by'e Rwanda ne bino byayogera bikwatagana bulungi nnyo n'eby'e Rwanda byayogera.
Help your brothers, your sisters.
Ogende maaso okubeera ng'oyamba famire yo abooluganda abasisita bo.
Your parents.
Abazadde bo.
And even the friends.
Saako n'emikwano.
So that is me, but
oyo yenze.
It has so many Ugandans.
Naye bannayuganda bangi nnyo.
Do that, and as I speak right now.
Bangi nnyo abakikola era ne bwe njogerera kati waliwo abafuluma oba bali ku kisaawe ky'ennyonyi bafuluma.
There are some who are at the airport.
Waliwo n'abali ku kisaawe ky'ennyonyi bali mu kufuluma.
Leaving the country. Before you know, they will have citizenships of other countries and
era nga tonnamanya ogenda okitegeera balina obutuuze obw'amawanga ag'enjawulo.
But that does not take away one's
ave yagamba nti ekyo ate era kyo tekitegeeza nti era tekijjaawo
love for the country.
Kwagala kwa ggwanga.
I am Ugandan.
Ndi Munnayuganda.
And I think even when I live
era ndowooza newe nnaaba nga nvudde
the life we live.
Newe nnaaba nvudde mu bulamu buno bwe tubeeramu obulamu bw'ensi nga nvudde mu bulamu bw'ensi.
God has given me life.
Katonda obulamu buno bwampadde.
But I don't think I'll live permanently.
Era ssuubira nti nja kubeerawo lubeerera.
But when I die,
naye bwe nnaafa
I'll also be buried here.
Era nja kubeera nga nziikibwa wano.
In Uganda.
Mu ggwanga lya Uganda.
Closer to my parents.
Kumpi ne bazadde bange
who are resting in Seta,
abaali abaziikibwa oba abawummudde emirembe mu Seeta,
Mukono in Gwafu
mwe Mukono mu Gwafu.
village. So that is my ancestral home.
Era obwo bwe butaka bwaffe, bwe bujjajja bwange.
So,
N'olw'ensonga eyo.
yeah, so,
Yeah. So
but
naye
Uganda is my country.
Uganda y'ensi yange, Uganda nsi yange.
I love my country.
Njagala ensi yange.
You know,
denouncing the other citizens.
Banabale bamubuuza olinamu enteekateeka y'okubeera ng'olangirira okuvaayo nti obutuuze buli obulala bwonna obweggyeko.
I mean,
Ngamba ntegeeza
who says that that can't happen?
ani agamba nti ekyo tekisobola kukolebwa?
It's possible. Uganda
Ekyo kisoboka.
there is no better country than
Teri nsi nnungi ya njawulo esinga ggwanga lya Uganda.
Uganda, right? Yes. Before I became a Canadian, I was Uganda.
Nga sinnaba kubeera nga mbeera omuna Canada oba omu Canada, nali muna Uganda. Ye Dr. Lawrence Muganga. Kale kawulidde bulungi nnyo, ndowooza katwolekera ate era kyatuleese. Now, all right, let's now dig deeper. Now to our English-speaking audience, or to those of you who understand English. My name is Moses Wamala. It's a pleasure to have you here yet again on this episode. In case you're new here, please do consider subscribing, share this video widely, like it, share and comment. Leave your comment onto this topic. We shall be glad and delighted to have your comment. Now, the situation surrounding Dr. Lawrence Muganga has grown into one of the most intensely debated political and legal dramas in Uganda. It peak-ended with the Parliament's Appointments Committee withholding his approval for a high-profile cabinet position. That's, of course, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, State Minister for Internal Affairs. Now, we've gathered some info or some facts that can, of course, briefly explain to us what's really happening. Now, who is Dr. Lawrence Muganga? First and foremost, I will take you through that. Now, according to the sources and, of course, the research and the available information on the internet and even him, Dr. Lawrence Muganga is a prominent academician or academic, author and educator or education reform advocate. He currently serves as the Vice Chancellor of the Victoria University in Kampala, where he has championed digital transformation and higher education modeling, including authentic learning. I think I'm one of those persons who have had interviews with him in regards to education reforms and authentic learning. As far as the education is concerned, the new normal, the education of the new normal, the tangible, the practical education that can't make fish climb trees. Yeah. And he was a gentleman who was actually part and parcel of those who, of course, modeled the new curriculum we are following today. And I've been interacting with him on matters of education, both on television and online. I interviewed him while I was at Delta TV and Baba Television Uganda on matters regarding, of course, the education of this country plus the reforms needed. Now, before his prominent academic career in Uganda, his background included significant international and regional footprints. Now, he lived in Canada and worked there for many years, serving as a policy advisor for the government of Alberta and a project manager of the Edmonton Multicultural Coalition. Now, in Rwanda, he previously worked with the Rwanda Revenue Authority, as he has just said it himself on the spot with Patrick Kamara. Now, the civil activism. Now, in Uganda, he became a prominent public voice for Ugandans of Rwandan heritage, alongside figures like Frank Gashumba, he has actively petitioned the parliament through the Abavandimwe civic movement. We've all been seeing that, campaigning against systematic discrimination when assessing national identity cards nearer and passport verifications. Now, let's go right to the ministerial nomination. Now, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni nominated Dr. Lawrence Muganga to serve as the State Minister for Internal Affairs. Now, the appointment immediately raised eyebrows because the Ministry of Internal Affairs directly oversees the country's most sensitive sovereignty systems, including like immigration, citizenship verification, national identification, and passports. And of course, this came around, the news came out around the end of May when His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni released the new cabinet to work to work with him in yet again this another term that he's sworn in on the 12th of May 2026. Now, let's look at the citizenship debacle, the three core controversies surrounding Dr. Lawrence Muganga's citizenship. Number one, when Dr. Lawrence Muganga appeared before the Parliamentary Vetting Committee chaired by Speaker Jacob Oboth, his appointment was ultimately rejected. We learned after, of course, that day, even while he was doing that interview, we had learned that he's been rejected. Now, the fallout centers on three distinct issues. I'm going to take you through these three issues. Number one, the legality of dual and triple citizenship. Now, under Section 19D and the 5th Schedule of the Uganda Citizenship and Immigration Control Amendment Act 2009, holders of dual citizenship are strictly prohibited from occupying highly sensitive offices of state, which include top ministerial portfolios. While Deputy Speaker Thomas Tayebwa noted that some nominees with dual citizenship agreed to patriotically renounce their foreign citizenships to qualify, Dr. Lawrence Muganga hit a logistical and legal wall. Muganga openly acknowledges holding both Ugandan and Canadian citizenship. Even though he expressed a readiness to renounce his Canadian status, Canada's formal citizenship renunciation process takes roughly 6 to 7 months. Now, you need to know that legal analysts, of course, they have come out to point out that a promise or a pending application of renunciation does not equate in any way legal compliance. Now, until a formal certificate of renunciation is issued, an individual remains a foreign citizen, making immediate parliamentary approval legal or legally impossible. Now, two, the three passports allegation. Now, the debate, of course, escalated from a technicality into a question of credibility when allegations surfaced that Dr. Lawrence Muganga held triple nationality. According to NRM MP Daud Kaband, of course, they have been having an exchange via X, formerly Twitter. Of course, he's one of the committee's security and internal affairs verification, confirmed that Dr. Muganga allegedly possessed three passports, including, that is to say, the Ugandan, Canadian, and Rwandan. Dr. Muganga's fiercely denied ever holding a Rwandan passport, stating to reporters, "I am a Munyarwanda by tribe, like any other Ugandan tribe, like a Muganda or Musoga, but I'm not a Rwandese. I am a Ugandan and Canadian." However, we've all seen critics quickly pointing out to the public the contradictions. Now, the document transfers and social media reviews highlighted a past interview with NTV, which I've just, of course, illustrated or showed to you, where Dr. Lawrence Muganga reportedly acknowledged holding a Rwandan passport while working in Rwanda. Furthermore, the public records showed conflicting narratives about his basic background, with his defenders claiming he was born in Seta Mukono, like he has said in this interview. Of course, with past interviews indicated, he stated he was born in Butaleja. Of course, these are all contradictions. There is that of Masaka, where he comes from Masaka. So I think there are different contradictions. Yeah, we've been treated too. Now, the third claim of ethic bias versus statutory vetting. Now, following his rejection, Dr. Lawrence Muganga, we've all seen that he has publicly accused the Deputy Speaker, Thomas Tayebwa, of personal bias, the calculation and discrimination, claiming his vetting failure was predetermined due to his ethnicity as a Ugandan Munyarwanda. He claimed that he would eventually release audio recordings to prove that the vetting committee acted out of discrimination rather than objective evaluation. Now, in response, committee members like David Kabanda strongly dismissed the claims of tribal bias as false and dangerous, maintaining that the decision was purely done to strict statutory compliance and the nominees' failure to give consistent disclosures under oath regarding his foreign passport trial. Now, let's look at, of course, the timelines and statuses or status of course, the Ugandan passport registration. Social media documents indicate he registered for Ugandan citizenship in November 2024 and received his current passport in February 2026. There are some images which have been making rounds, of which Dr. Lawrence Muganga has not, of course, responded to, or he has not, I think he has not taken time to respond to those documents circulating or making rounds on social media. Now, he was named Minister Designate for Internal Affairs in May 2026, and the legal challenge came formally petitioned by legal professionals on May 28, 2026 over Section 19D compliancy. Now, of course, the nomination withheld, rejected by the Appointments Committee in early June 2026 due to unresolved multiple or mild citizenship status. As it stands right now, Dr. Lawrence Muganga remains the Vice Chancellor of Victoria University, while the fallout from the vetting process continues to spark intense national debates over constitutional law, identity politics, and what constitutes absolute loyalty for state officials in Uganda. Now, the drama surrounding Dr. Lawrence Muganga's nomination, vetting failure, and past security run-ins reads like a high-stakes, it's like a political thriller. When looking at this through the lens of course, a political strategy or politician, intelligence operations, and ancient military philosophy, the situation moves far beyond a standard administrative hiccup of dual nationality. Now, I'll take you through the implications, the question of institutional trust, and the breakdown of President Museveni's strategic, I think the calculation using, I'll go through the Sun Zoo, or what is Zoo or Zoo. I think, I don't know how you can pronounce that, but I think all of us who've ever read about the art of war, Sun Tzu, the art of war. Now, let's go into the character, ambiguity, and survival instinct. When evaluating why an elite academic and public figure would allegedly falsify or obscure aspects of their citizenship, the explanation usually boils down to expediency versus survival. We're in East Africa, on the African continent, and regional politics identity is highly weaponized. The tribal versus the national or the national divide. For Ugandans of Rwanda heritage, abavandimwe, navigating, of course, the bureaucracy of national IDs and passports has historically been an uphill battle involving intense profiling. Now, to survive the thrive across different regimes, working for the Rwanda Revenue Authority, migrating to Canada, and returning to a high-profile role in Uganda, maintaining fluid identity markers can be viewed as a calculated shield. You understand? The cost of contradiction, the lying or shifting narrative, whether he was born in Mukono, Masaka, or Butaleja, it points to, of course, an opportunism that often catches up with ambitious players. While flexibility, of course, helps an individual climb corporate and academic ladders, it collapses under the absolute transparency demanded by a parliamentary vetting committee. Now, the big question is, right now here, can institutional trust coexist with discretion? If looking at this from a governance perspective, trusting Dr. Lawrence Muganga with a powerful leadership position, specifically like that or on the caliber of the Minister of Internal Affairs, becomes a structural possibility. Internal Affairs manages national identity databases, immigration control, and national security data. A leader in that space cannot have an ambiguous past or trailing foreign obligations. The state requires total legibility. If a nominee's background discloses shift depending on the audience, the fundamental institutional trust required to guard a country's sovereignty, it breaks down. Now, we all know how President Museveni works. If you've been here enough or you've been observing critically the events in a country like Uganda, how our politics have been played all time, how the game of chess in politics has been played by President Museveni, you can believe me, or in case you've not been following, you may not we may not be on the same page. But either way, if you take time and do your research and follow events with a very, very keen and critical eye, you can get to understand what I'm talking about. Did President Museveni trick him? Here comes now the journalist in me and the citizen in me who was taking time to understand President Museveni and how he works. In Uganda politics, of course, political appointments are rarely straightforward rewards. They are frequently traps or tests, of course. It is highly probable that President Museveni understood the legal and intelligence landmines surrounding Dr. Muganga long before the nomination list was published. Remember, in September 2021, Muganga was dramatically arrested at Victoria University by the Chieftains of Military Intelligence CMI on allegations of espionage and illegal stay, only to be released days later. And after his release, he came out to start praising. He came out praising President Dr. Museveni. I think the statement was, I think he could even vote for a yellow jelly can in case President Museveni leaves power, whatever, he will keep voting for that. A statement he had never done anywhere in public, but after his release from jail or from custody, he announced, he publicly exposed and explained his renewed love, or his love we had never seen before about President Dr. Museveni. Now, by nominating him to the exact ministry that oversees immigration and citizenship, I believe Museveni essentially forced Muganga into a public arena where he would have to lay bare his entire personal paper trail, the foreign passports, and allegiances under oath. Now, the vetting process effectively neutralized Muganga's political leverage as an outspoken civic activist by exposing his legal non-compliance on national television. And that's how President Museveni exposes or has exposed so many figures, so many people in Uganda. Now let's go deeper in the art of war analysis, the Museveni hidden agenda. Now President Museveni is a seasoned guerrilla warfare veteran who deeply understands strategic maneuvering. Appointing a man once detained by your own intelligence apparatus as a suspected spy fits perfectly into class security stratagems. We all know. If you've studied political science at the university, I think you can get literally what I'm talking about. Number one, if you've ever read about the art of war, Sun Tzu's art of war, Number one, you need to keep your friends close and your enemies closer. By bringing an influential Western educated intellectual with strong cross-border ties into the state fold, I believe Museveni attempted to co-opt a potential wild card. If Muganga was inside the cabinet, his actions, networks, and influence over the diaspora and ethnic community would be entirely transparent to the presidency. Neutralizing any threat of course, independent political maneuvering would go right ahead, would shape the discourse, of course. Now, the stratagem of deception. All warfare is based on deception. Hence, when we are able to attack, we must seem unable. When using our forces, we must seem inactive. That is Sun Tzu in his Art of War book. Now, by placing a man previously accused of being a Rwandan or a Rwandese asset at the helm of internal affairs, now Museveni seems to create an environment of intense strategic ambiguity. It signals to domestic security agencies that the presidency plays by its own rules, keeping both loyalists and external observers completely off balance. Now, we all know previously there has been a standoff or mixed reactions between two countries, Rwanda and Uganda. And I, as a journalist, I don't believe practically, even though the CDF, Muhoozi Kainerugaba, who happens to be the first son, went and met he calls him his uncle, His Excellency Paul Kagame, to bring an end to the tensions which had developed for quite a time. I believe practically this has never happened, bearing in mind that Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and His Excellency Paul Kagame were together in the bush, and he has ever served here as, I think, in a certain position. Is it in security? Yes. They literally know each other's strength, their weakness, the opportunities, and everything. They are all militants, or they are military generals. They understand literally each other. That's why they may not give anybody a space to even think critically. So, what does this signal? The saga of Lawrence Muganga, what does it signal to Paul Kagame? Now, the geopolitics between Kampala and Kigali are defined by quiet chess moves rather than open conflict. Now, using the art of war, the nomination of the subsequent rejection sent a distinct multi-layered message to Rwandan President Paul Kagame. Now, demonstrating absolute control by nominating Muganga, Museveni signaled to Kigali that I can take an individual your networks might value, rehabilitate him, and place him at the center of my national security apparatus. If I choose, I can do whatever I want. I know you. I know your moves. Now, let's see the catch release display. The entire act, of course, arresting Muganga in 2021, elevating him in 2026, and letting Parliament systematically dismantle his credibility of a Rwandan passport. It's a trail. It's a very, very big trail that shows Kigali that Uganda's counterintelligence infrastructure possesses deep, active, and receipts, or it sits on cross-border actors. Now, Museveni now is revealing to Rwanda and His Excellency Paul Kagame the controlled deflection. Rejecting him through a parliamentary committee allows the Ugandan state to block a security risk through a layer of mechanism rather than an aggressive political declaration. It tells to Kagame that Uganda's institutional barriers against foreign infiltration are functional, legalistic, and unyielding, all while keeping Museveni's personal diplomatic hands absolutely clean. Now, the entire debacle serves as a masterclass in political, of course, containment. An ambitious player was checked, a sensitive community's grievances were managed, and a subtle message of vigilance was sent across the border. Oh, my God. Now, the messy fallout from the vetting process has significantly, of course, altered the political and security landscape for the Abavandimwe civic movement and Ugandans of Rwandan heritage, the Banyarwanda community, of course. What was initially seen as a historic triumph for the community has quickly evolved into a complex strategic setback. Of course, it goes ahead to this symbolizes Yoweri Kaguta Museveni as a winner before even the race begins. Now let's look at the short-lived Holy Grail moment. For the Abavandimwe Council, led by, of course, prominent figures like Frank Gashumba, Dr. Muganga's initial nomination as State Minister for Internal Affairs felt like the ultimate political breakthrough. Now, the Ministry of Internal Affairs is the exact bureaucratic frontline where the community's biggest daily battles are fought, specifically regarding national identity card, NIRA registrations, and the passport issuances and citizenship verifications. Now, having an outspoken, highly educated intellectual from their community appointed to lead that specific docket signaled two massive wins. Number one, the systematic readiness, the hope that structural profiling based on names, accents, or physical features at immigration desks would finally face high-level, empathetic policy reform. Two, the unprecedented legitimacy. Now, concrete proof that the state fully recognized the community, which is listed as an indigenous group or tribe in the 1995 Constitution, as, of course, legal equal citizens entitled to guard the country's core sovereignty systems. That's Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to you. Now let's look at the collapse of the political leverage. Now the rejection of Dr. Lawrence Muganga under a cloud of allegations, of course, regarding a hidden foreign passport, has inadvertently handed a powerful narrative. Of course, a weapon that has been used by the movement is harshest critics. Now, before the vetting, the Abavandimwe movement could forcefully argue that passport ID denials were purely a product of rogue bureaucratic profiling and systematic xenophobia. Now, after the vetting debacle, hardliners and skeptical security officials now argue that stringent screening measures are entirely justified because even a high-profile university vice chancellor concealed dual triple allegiancy. Now, by reacting to his rejection with public allegations of tribal bias and threats to release secret audio recordings against, of course, the Deputy Speaker, Thomas Tayebwa, Dr. Muganga chose an aggressive, high-friction path. While this posture rallies his core base, it risks isolating the Abavandimwe leadership from mainstream political allies within the ruling NRM who favor quiet, backroom consensus building over explosive public media wars. You understand? So, abakulu babateze omuzannyo ne bagenda maaso ne bagugwamu, omupiira bagutomedde. Eno okunywa ku mazzi. Abakulu omupiira. Because look here, behind the corridors of power, of course, the president understands and knows by the time he leaves a messy country, it's his son and the family who are going to suffer. They are going to suffer. So there are things where he treads cautiously and he plays his chess like a master, like a king, and he knows where to place what card where, which cards where. Every gambler knows that the secret to survival is knowing, you know, the gambler. Yeah. Now, there is still a heightened security perceptions and bureaucratic backlash. Now, for the ordinary Ugandan of Rwandan descent, the youth trying to get a passport for a job opportunity, abroad or an ID to open a bank account, this high-level drama is likely to make everyday life more difficult. The security paradox: when an elite cultural representatives vetting process ends in a public dispute over a cross-border passport trail, state security agencies tend to double down on vigilance rather than backing off. Now, the immediate consequences will likely ripple down in two distinct ways. Number one, the hyper scrutiny at near-end immigration. Verification officers may feel completely vindicated in demanding exhaustive, multi-generational ancestral proof during or dating back before 1926, fearing that clearing applicants too quickly could result in another security oversight. The reignition of geopolitical anxieties in the delicate, historically tense relationship between Kampala and Kigali, the public arguments over whether a prominent figure secretly holds a Rwandan passport instantly feed back into deep-seated anxieties regarding espionage and undeclared cross-border loyalties. Now, let's look at the internal fractures within the movement. Finally, this debacle exposes strategic rifts within the country's or the community's leadership structure. The Banyarwanda in Uganda are not a political monolith. They are navigating these identity struggles through different tactical approaches. Number one, of course, we have the integrationist wing. The integrationist wing, the factions aligned with mainstream culture bodies, have, of course, spent years building political bridges, aligning with national political movements, and using soft power, the cultural carnivals, to, of course, project seamless assimilations into the Ugandan fabric. Now there's the defiant wing. Dr. Muganga's loud confrontational battle on social media creates a tactical divergency. Some community members feel his aggressive public stance harms the collective long-term effort of quiet institutional integration, while others believe his refusal to back down is a necessary exposure of systemic bias. Ultimately, Dr. Muganga's dramatic vetting failure transformed what was meant to be, of course, a crowning achievement for Abavandimwe civic integration into a cautionary political tale, showing how easily the personal paper trails can be leveraged to complicate broader community ambitions. That is, of course, something very controversial, of course, we need to know and understand. Now, the intersection of Dr. Lawrence Muganga's saga, the historical Uganda-Rwanda tensions, and the ongoing presidential transition to General Muhoozi Kainerugaba reveals a fascinating shift in how power is being consolidated in Kampala. While General Muhoozi, of course, famously leveraged personal diplomacy to mend relations with Kigali, the Muganga debacle demonstrates that the institutional deep state in Uganda operates on an entirely different wavelength. Number one, the Muhoozi Kagame diplomatic capital. Now, to understand what lies ahead, of course, we have to look at the unique geopolitical currency Muhoozi built. Between 2019 and 2022, the Uganda-Rwanda relationship had deteriorated to a dangerous low characterized by closed borders, economic stagnation at Gatuna or Katuna, and mutual accusations of espionage. Traditional diplomacy had completely stalled. Now, General Muhoozi stepped into this vacuum as a non-traditional actor by traveling to Kigali, engaging directly with President Paul Kagame, whom he publicly refers to as his uncle, and orchestrating the reopening of the border. Muhoozi achieved a massive domestic and regional victory. Now, there are points to note. Number one, it proved to him that he wasn't just a military commander. He possessed independent diplomatic weight. 2. It signaled to regional leaders that he was pragmatic, next generation statesman capable of resolving conflicts that had bogged down the old guard for decades, despite using his Twitter, or formerly Twitter X platform, to even wage war on different countries, even including neighbors like Kenya, stating that if his dad ordered, he would attack Kenya in no time. Now, of course, the Muganga saga is a transition litmus test. If Muhoozi represents, of course, a thawing of relations with Rwanda, why did the Ugandan state just publicly dismantle a prominent Ugandan Munyarwanda academic over a Rwandan passport trail? That's a big question. You can go into the comment section and tell me. If Muhoozi truly represented a thawing of relations with Rwanda, why did Uganda then the state of Uganda just publicly dismantled a prominent Ugandan Munyarwanda academic over a Rwandan passport trail? The answer lies in the mechanics of the 2026 political transition. Do you get that? Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's, of course, you're still listening to Ama Speaks podcast on this 50th day of June 2026. We are delving deeper. Yes, we are delving and digesting the Muganga saga, a minister that never was. Now, let's look at the parliamentary power shift. Now, the parliamentary committee that rejected Dr. Lawrence Muganga was chaired by the newly influential Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oboth, of course, deputized by Thomas Tayebwa. Now, the rapid rise of Jacob Oboth, of course, we all know, and the sidelining of old parliamentary guard is a direct result of political maneuvering by the Patriotic League of Uganda, PLOU, the civic and political vehicle chaired by General Museveni-Meeting. Of course, you and me, you can know that this creates a critical distinction. The very political machinery aligned with Muhoozi's transition is the one that legally executed the blocking of Dr. Lawrence Muganga. Now, setting the boundary lines for the next generation. This tells us that the emerging Muhoozi-led political configuration is hyper-focused on establishing institutional order and domestic legitimacy, honesty, credibility, and speaking the truth and being realistic. Being realistic to the next leadership. Of course, this insulates Muhoozi from accusations by domestic hardliners who might fear that his close personal ties to Kagame would make his future presidency soft in cross-border infiltration. Now, as we wind up, what lies ahead in the post-Museveni era? Now, as General Museveni increasingly takes the reins of the state apparatus, backed by his role as Chief of Defense Forces, CDF, and the institutional capture of Parliament by the PLOU, several distinct trends are emerging for the future of Uganda. Now, the transition to the older era, the romantic ideological liberation war, the narrative of the old NRM guard is being systematically replaced by a corporate, strict, and military-backed governance style. Now discussions are being replaced by directives, as seen in the recent anti-corruption sweeps in Parliament. The new guard is eager to project an image of zero tolerance to earn the trust of a restless young population. 2. The compartmentalized geopolitics. Did you hear that? The compartmentalized geopolitics. Now, under Moses' eventual presidency, Uganda's relationship with Rwanda will likely look highly compartmentalized. On the surface, trade, elite military, cooperation, and high-level family diplomacy will thrive. Beneath the surface, the intelligence architecture, CMI and ISO, will of course remain rigidly protective of national data, the citizenship frameworks and security systems. Trust but verify will be the absolute law of the land. Now, neutralizing wild cards, the Muganga saga is a template for how independent political actors who try to leverage ethnic grievances offload cross-border identities will be handled. Now, the state will use, of course, legalistic, bureaucratic, and highly public mechanisms to neutralize them before they can complicate the delicate father-to-son transition. Ultimately, the entire script, of course, to me, it shows a masterclass in political balancing. Of course, Yoweri Museveni is letting the next generation leadership flex its institutional muscles, proving that even as the guard changes, the fundamental sovereignty of the Ugandan state remains heavily guarded, calculated, and entirely predictable. Now, I think in the next program, I will take you through other, critical analysis into what all this means to Uganda and even other appointees or appointments like Agobeddwa-Ebipya and the rest. Are they safe or not? That will be a question to come in no time. My name is Moses Wamala. I think you've gotten a thing or two. You can easily leave a comment in the comment section in regards to what you think about this. My name is Moses. I'll be right back with yet another exclusive, deeper analysis into this issue in regards to what happens or what lies ahead of others like Agobeddwa-Ebipya, Shatsi Musherude, and others. Are they safe or not? And what the Moses development means to the rest of the country. Be blessed. Uganda Yencha.
Uganda Yencha.